My name is J. Don Wardle. I'm the founder of JD Machine. How did I get involved in machining? Well, I had been to Utah State, got a commission in ROTC, and went in for 2 years and was deployed to Germany, where my wife joined me with our new baby. We had one daughter born over there, and then we came home. I didn't have a job, I didn't have a degree. I had enough college credit, but not in any particular field to get a degree. And so I bounced around a couple of little jobs, and finally, I don't know how I ended up at a place called Fisher Hess Pontiac. They were a Pontiac dealership in downtown Ogden, 23rd and Grant. I was hired on there as a flat rate mechanic, and didn't do too well because I didn't buy whiskey for the shop foreman. And I worked there probably a year and wasn't doing well financially. And so one day I was really upset, and I took off my coveralls and walked down to Ogden Iron Works. It was about a block away, and filled out an application, and I had a little experience as welding. I figured I could do that better than anything. And I had also had a little machine shop training at Weaver College. And so he sent the personnel person that sent me over to see a man named Nuys, who was the foreman of the fabrication. And he said, well, he read my application. He said, well, I don't have any openings, but you've had some machining experience. Let me introduce you to Alden Sorensen. We walked over there, and he introduced me as Bishop Wardle's son. And Alden says, no. He says, I know Bishop Wardle. My dad's brother, Rulin, was bishop of the Second Ward, and that's where Alden went to church. And so it sparked a real good, down-to-earth conversation. And Al really liked to talk, so we spent a lot of time. Anyway, he hired me on as a bee machinist helper, I think it was. I think it was $2.40 an hour, which was really good for me because it was steady income. I was tickled to death. And so I started out there just grunting work for a while, and picked up a few pointers from different people there, and stayed there for 3 years. And when I left, I was making top money. People that had been there for 15 years were making the same as I was. And I was really thrilled because I was in a place called Precision Room, which was no cast iron in there. And all the rest of them were machine cast iron, and it's a filthy, dirty job. Anyway, so Marquardt came to town, and as bad as I hated to leave Al Sorensen, I went by there one night just to tell him where his residence, and tell him I was going to have to leave. And he says, well, I'm sorry, but I understand. I went to my Marquardt, hired as a trainee, I think. I don't remember, but I'd had a little bit of machining experience by then, and I worked there for 14 years. And they moved to Southern California, Van Nuys, and I didn't want to move down there. I had another job in Salt Lake as a swing shift foreman for E-Systems, and I thought I'd go down there. Well, the plant manager, or the vice president, came to me and he says, you pack your bag, we're going to California tonight. And so I called my wife and I said, I guess we're going to California. Anyway, the vice president, there were three really top dogs of Markworth, insisted that we go down and see what's going on there. Well, they were all drunk by the time we got off the plane. And we got a room in a motel, nice room, and a car, and we were told to cruise around and see what was going on. We went to dinner that night with them, and one of the big shots got my wife aside and talked to her and told her that if she stood in my way of going to Van Nuys, that I was going right to the top, and she would really be sorry. We had debated this for months, whether we were going or not. And finally she came back to the table. She says, well, the decision's made. We're going to Van Nuys. So we cruised around there, went back home, told the kids we were going to move. So I decided to do that, and I had to go right away. And so I flew back and forth quite a few times. I went down there, I had an apartment, and started working at the machine shop at Van Nuys, and I'd go home every 2 weeks and spend the weekend at home. And then finally my wife sold the house and one of the cars, and we bought a new Pontiac in Brigham and packed up everything, had the movers come in and move our stuff, and took all of our kids. I think we had, Becky was married, no, she wasn't. Anyway, we all went to Van Nuys. We had purchased a house down there, quite a large house, and not in the best part of Van Nuys, of the valley, but it was adequate when we started to work. And that's how I got into the machine shop business. Problem was, Ogden had all the contracts, had all the work, and we kind of moved in and pushed the Van Nuys people out in the side, and they didn't like that. And so it was kind of a touchy situation for us to take over their business. Mm-hmm. They didn't like that. Anyway, I worked there for about a year, maybe a little more. And finally, some of the Ogden people had quit or got laid off, and the Van Nuys people got back in control, and they cleaned all the Ogden people out. They laid me off, and there I was in a big city with nothing, no prospects. Anyway, I bounced around a couple of different shops. I managed a couple of shops, and we did all right, but we were not happy. I served as a bishop there for 5 years, and it was not an easy situation. So we decided that we had enough of California. So we sold our house, made a good profit on our house, and 2 of our kids, Lisa and Becky, had married by then. And we packed up the other 3 kids and headed back to Utah. Bought a house there, and tried to find a job as a machine shop foreman, but I was 50 years old at the time. Nobody was interested in hiring me. So I was a pretty good machinist, so I decided I would buy a couple of machines and start out. Thought maybe I'll put them in the garage, and that wasn't a good idea, so we rented some space in the old Ogden Poultry building where they processed turkeys. And they hadn't processed for many years, but it was still a sneaky place. But they had lots of power, so I bought it at a lathe in a Bridgeport mill, moved it in there. Got a contact with Arnie Smith, and he was the buyer at Superior Univac. And before I had machines on the floor, I had purchase orders from Superior Univac to make parts. And so we started out, and we were making parts for what they called a helmet sight. They were small parts, but it was a sight that the pilots wore on their helmet, and wherever they looked, that's where the gun went. And very precise parts, with a lot of small parts. And we got to where we were building nearly all of the components that went into that helmet sight, and became quite profitable. I don't know how, but we did. We started making money, quite a bit of money. And I had quite a few health problems, and a lot of times I'd go there, had an old metal trace lounge where I would just lay there and answer the phone. And we just start building, and pretty soon I offloaded some parts to some fellows that I knew, and they would bid on the jobs, and they would come and use my equipment, and I would pay them what they wanted, and I'd make a pretty good profit. Oh, they changed about every month, it seemed like. They were Superior Univac, Unisys, L3, and there was one other I don't remember. But there was, they changed a lot. It was hard to keep up, but I had a lot of friends down there. I used to go down and deliver parts sometimes, or pick up parts that weren't right and that I'd made a mistake on. They were very tolerant with me. And so we started making good money, and we contacted a fellow, Bill Dahlquist, who was a CPA, and we needed somebody to take care of our taxes. And so we started visiting with him quarterly or whatever, and he gave us lots and lots of good advice on what to do and how to do money. And we eventually, but he told me we were paying too much in taxes, we needed to buy our own building. I thought, oh, I can't do that. He says, you need to do that. So he contacted a realtor, and we bought that building out on Midland Drive for $250,000. It was in foreclosure with First Security, and we put $50,000 down on it and financed the rest. I still own that building, and still get pretty good payments off that. And anyway, we packed up and moved all of our equipment over to that building. There were 7 units, and we occupied one. And things kept going really well. I hired some part-time people. Finally, Arnie, who had been so good to us, Arnie Smith, he says, I have a son that needs a job. He says he's laying sprinkler systems at Lakeview Heights. And I said, send him down. I thought, I also owe Arnie so much, I'll take him if I have to send him home and pay him anyway, I'll do that. He drove in with this car that had a Jeep that had wheels on, tires on it. It must have been 5 feet diameter. He was long haired, scraggly. He came in, he's still with us today after 35, at least 35 years. He became a top machinist, and he is the top machinist here at J.D. Machine now. He's been with us all this time. Very good friend. I wasn't really scared. I was desperate. I had kids that needed education, needed to be taken care of. And so I just bowed my head and went to work. And I worked hard and long hours. And my wife worked right along with me. And my dream, my future, what I was really looking for, I was not looking for great expansion in that business. I was looking for survival, really. If I could earn enough to provide for my family, if I could make it to 65 and get government pension, I thought I'd be doing good. And so that was my long-range goal. She was supportive all the way along, very supportive, whatever I wanted to do. Except she didn't like me to spend money. She was very frugal, and when we had to put $50,000 down on that building, we had plenty in the checking account, but she wasn't very happy about it. And that's just her nature. That's why she was brought up very frugal. We were really close. She came down there and kept books. I think towards the end there, when Matt was in high school, or junior high and high school, she'd come down there until it was time for school let out, and she'd go home and take care of Matt. And she had, when we started making money, of course, she still didn't like to spend it. She was always afraid we were going to run out of money. But she was very, very supportive, and we got along really well. And I wasn't a dictator when she came down. She helped wherever she could. I've got pictures now of her running the machine. She used to drive to deliver parts, pick up material and tools, and she was not very aggressive in her nature, but she had to go to Salt Lake and drive through that traffic and the snarls. But she did it and struggled. It was a struggle time for her, but she did it, and we wouldn't have made it without it. I got a picture of that machine in my office now. It's called a Bandit. It's a Bridgeport machine with the Bandit control on it, an NC. And I love that machine. I told lots of people I was going to take it to my grave with me. We made a lot of money on that machine. Everybody ran it. Matt ran it, Marianne ran it. I ran it a lot. I programmed it and run parts, and it was the crowning success of J.D. Machine. Had we not had that, we wouldn't be here today. It was so valuable to us. When I was in California, one of the shops that I managed, well, I managed it, but I was also running a machine. And we had a couple of NC machines there, and they showed me how to do it. I picked it up quite fast. Amazing. And so when we got the Bandit there, it was a pretty simple thing to do. And so we made lots of parts on that. Well, my first name is Jay, J-A-Y, Don, D-O-N. That was my first two names. When I was managing a shop in California, The name of the place was Show and Cough Machine. And every time I'd get on the phone and order something, I'd say, this is Show and Cough Machine, SCHO, and I'd have to spell it all out. So when we got back here and decided to name the company, I said, it's got to be simple, JD. Well, this was the little gear that went to the helmet sight. We had lots of them. There's some of them in the poster back there. But this was one I thought was really good. We made hundreds of these brakes segments, and they're made in a round disc, and then I had some cutters set up where we could chop them off into unit pieces, and all the time had the rubber put on. This is a little test indicator, most valuable little tool I ever had. No, it was so miraculous, you know. The Bandit was more than I ever dreamed. We paid $50,000 for it, and it paid for itself the first year. But Matt had the vision and the smarts, and he was the one that bought the new machines and ordered them. That was the greatest blessing I've ever had. He's been so kind to me, so generous with me. I had so much confidence in him that when he became president of the company, and I sure didn't want to interfere, and I didn't want to be dictating what he should be doing. I knew he was very, very smart. So Mom and I decided to go on a mission. That's when we went to Fresno for a year, and Matt took over and grew the business, and very successful. Well, people have asked me many, many, many times, did I ever dream that JD Machine would end up like this? Of course, if that had been a dream, it would have been a nightmare, because there's no way of looking forward that far and seeing what there was. I was not excited about expansion. I did it out of necessity when we moved into that other building, but by the time Matt took over the business, we were occupying 3 units over there instead of just the one. And that's when Matt built that building on Rural White Boulevard. And that wasn't enough, and he had to double the size of that. And it kept growing and growing. Auto leave was so demanding that I remember we went to Brigham one day, he and I, and he went in and visited one of the fellows and came back to the car, and we had a cell phone, and he started calling, ordering machines that we were going to need for auto leave. We went to work on those, and then we did that on Midland Drive, and then we went to White Boulevard. Matt took over the business when it was really at low ebb, and he'd been on a mission to Taiwan, and we were so anxious to see him and bring home. We decided we'd take off and go to Taiwan, pick him up, and bring him home. We weren't sure we would have a business by the time we got back. It was really so low. But we did, we picked up, and Matt took over, and he really grew the business.